Hey everybody, welcome to Eureka Springs channel. I'm Melody Purdy, your host. We're coming to you live from Eureka Springs, Arkansas. We are just a few moments late. Debbie is with me, and she is from Red Scottie Fibers, which is a fantastic store here in downtown Eureka Springs. And I've asked her to come today to tell you about a special event that is coming up. So let me push a few buttons here and get Debbie onto the stream. Hey, Debbie.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you doing this live with us today.
Thank you for having me.
So, people that are watching may or may not know about your store. If you could just tell everybody a little bit about your store in downtown Eureka Springs, if you don't mind.
Okay. Well, we are in a with some antique furnishings and cabinetry. It's a very historic atmosphere, but we have the most modern of yarns and knitting and fiber technology that you can have. We have all kinds of knitting and crochet yarns. We have a weaving studio downstairs. I think you have that on your screen right now.
Yeah.
With some of the large Swedish looms that you just don't find everywhere. We also carry, and those are from Glamokra.
Okay.
We also carry Shack products and Ashford products that are primarily for weaving and spinning. We do have a lot of local yarn, and local yarn seems to be one of our best sellers. You know, tourists will come into Eureka Springs, and that's some of our local yarn right there. Okay. And we'll want to, have something to take home as a keepsake. And what better thing is there than something that you can pet and work with and make something beautiful out of? So a lot of our tourists will pick up some of our yarn and take home with them. And then we also have, we'll talk about that one in a minute.
Okay.
We also
I'll go back. I'm getting ahead of you.
We also have lots of just equipment that you need for spinning your own yarn. We have a twice monthly knit group that you're showing a picture of there, where tourists can join with locals and come in and just sit and knit. But we also have a pretty extensive class list. And as we approach the end of this month, we'll be having a special event that we'll be having a lot of different classes. We'll have a different class every day that people can participate in. And this is one of our local gals here. She is just working on one of the looms in the studio, and she is making some rugs for her home out of her fabric. She's a local quilter. And so she said, I've got this quilting material that I'm just not quite sure what to do with. Can I make rugs out of it? And so she's been down there working away on those rugs.
Love it.
Yeah.
So, this is a fantastic, getting everybody involved locally, and it sounds like you've got a little bit of a following, too, that come to town.
Yes,
and great store for that. It's a very specialized store. You don't see very many people that are doing fiber stores around, so I bet you have a really great following.
Yes. Unfortunately, during COVID, a lot of stores closed, and so we are one of 6 in the state. That's primarily a fiber store. I think we're the only store that carries as much weaving equipment as we do. I'm primarily a weaver. I was a weaver from, we won't say how long ago, but
a weaver from way back.
From way back. I was an art major in school, and that's where I learned my love of weaving. And then, of course, I went into just teaching and administration. But I've come back to weaving, and so our store is 7 years old, and really it has become a destination for many people.
Yeah. So in the downtown area, I was looking at some of the photographs that you sent to me, and one in particular struck me is, I'm big into color, and as a photographer, and looking at different scenes and pulling, colors from everything. And I was looking at this one, this particular image here, that you've got. I love that you are taking the colors from different areas and putting together a theme. Tell me a little bit about where the inspiration for this
Well,
came
this
from.
is one of our local dyers, Apothecary. She has a sheep farm about an hour from here, and she does just the most wonderful hand-dyed yarns. And she is known nationwide for her fantastic color sense. And so we have this yarn crawl coming up at the end of the month. And I thought, what better way to showcase Eureka than to have some Eureka-themed yarns? So we have 3 special yarns that will be coming up. And I don't know, did I send you the pictures on all 3?
Let me see. I think I've got one other one here for you.
Yes.
Leatherwood one.
That's Leatherwood.
Okay.
And she took the colors of Lake Leatherwood, you know, the blues and the browns and the greens, and created this wonderful yarn. The one that you showed before, Daffodil Cottage, was taken from Victorian home inspiration. And that's actually a stained glass window that's in my home that I felt like.
This one here?
The first one, yes.
Oh, that's in your home. Okay.
Yes, cool. That's in my home. And
cool.
So, you know, I felt like it echoed those colors. And then the very last one, those first 2 are both DK weight, which stands for double knit weight. It's a little bit smaller than a worsted weight yarn. Really good for just all around knitting and crochet. And then this last one here is by another local dyer. It's called the Woolly Cabin. Dawn is a surgical nurse, and she does this dyeing in part-time. She's from Fayetteville, and she took her inspiration from the Flatiron Building. Oh, and I just thought that one was fantastic. This is a lace, well, not a lace weight, sock weight yarn. It's got a little bit of nylon in it, so it's fantastic for knitting socks or shawls or anything that calls for that weight yarn.
So different weight yarns have specific purposes then and applications then. I see.
Yes, they do.
It really is an education in itself. So, you know, I remember I came last, was it 2 years ago? Y'all had an event that you held at the Eureka Springs Community Center. And is that the same, pretty much same event that's coming up, or is it a little different?
It's different.
Okay, well, tell us about that. Tell us about what's coming up.
Well, what you came to 2 years ago was the Fiber Festival.
Okay, Fiber Festival.
We have that usually in April.
Okay.
But this is the Arkansas Yarn Crawl, and this is yarn shops from across the state. We all work together. The yarn shop owners, we're a really good group of business owners that try to work together and complement each other and help each other. And there's 5 shops participating this year. Yeah, there they are. We've got Mockingbird Moon, which is over in Rogers, and then Shops at Fleece and Flax. Our building has been known as Fleece and Flax for the last 50 years. And when there was several different fiber artists in there, we called it the Shops at Fleece and Flax. My business name is Red Scottie Fibers. So it's Red Scottie Fibers at the Shops at Fleece and Flax.
Okay.
And then Gabrielle's Flowers and Fibers over in on Bull Shoals Lake. Mm-hmm. Arkansas Yarn Company is in Malvern, and then Knit Unto Others is in Arkadelphia. And each of these shops has their own personality. It's really, really fun to go into each one. And I'm always upset every year because I'm working the yarn crawl the whole time. I don't get to go around to the different shops.
You don't get to see it all.
No, but I've been to some of the other shops, and they each have their own personality, and we each carry different types of yarns even, you know. And so like Mockingbird Moon, when they have somebody that wants to come in and learn more about weaving, she usually sends them over to me. You know, and if I know that she carries a yarn that someone's looking for, I'll send somebody over to her. So we try to work together. And this yarn crawl is a great way to do it. We do it once a year. Of course, we didn't do it last year because of COVID.
All right.
But this year, we're looking forward to it. It was in October, and because October is so busy here and people have a hard time finding a parking place in October, we decided to move it to July. So it's July 30th to August 7th. And we'll be open every day during the yarn crawl.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the idea is to sort of just travel during that whole time frame. I mean, do I have to come in and get my card stamped or anything? Do I get anything bonus wise for coming in?
Well,
what's the catch?
Everybody will get a card with that logo on the front, like you showed a while ago, and it is a passport. It's called a passport. Okay. So as you go into each shop, and get whatever yarns that you want, whatever fibers you want, you get your passport stamped, and then you are entered at the very last shop. You give them your passport with your information on it, and you're entered into a prize drawing. And the prizes are really great. Lots of wonderful fibers, and the grand prize. The more shops you go to, the more prizes you qualify for. The larger the prizes that you will qualify for.
That is cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's almost like a treasure hunt.
So now locally, you do specific classes. Touch base on that a little bit, if you don't mind. What are the classes, and how long do they last, and for how long? How do you work with that? If you don't mind
a couple of times a year, we usually bring in nationally known weaving or spinning teachers to work with anywhere from a small group of 8 to a larger group of 15. And when we have a larger group, we usually move our classes to the community center. But we do weaving classes, spinning classes. We do all kinds of knitting and crochet classes, felting, rug hooking, dye classes. We have several different dye classes coming up with Across Generations, which is run by Gina Levesque. She does a lot of natural dyeing, dyeing with bark and indigo and all kinds of wonderful different chemical-free types of dyes that you can learn how to do and dye your own yarn, whatever color that you want it to be. So we've got a huge class offering. It's all on our website.
So have you ever been interested in going from A to Z in this craft and actually raising the animals for this, or has that ever interested you?
When I was younger.
Really? You're not now.
No, I'm too old now.
Too over there.
Yeah, it's pretty labor intensive.
Yeah,
and
I would imagine.
Even just preparing the fleeces and getting them, if you hand spin them or send them to a mill, it's pretty fun. But I do have some good friends that do that. We have another local yarn, and she'll be coming in actually for a trunk show during the yarn crawl. She's from Yellville, and she has the most wonderful sheep. They are just so sweet, and she takes it all the way from the 4 legs all the way to the yarn, and she'll have her yarns for sale there on one of the Saturdays during the yarn crawl.
So I have a question.
Sure.
I'm like, take one of those. I guess you call them a bundle. What do you call it?
Skein.
What's it called?
A skein of yarn.
A skein of yarn. How long does it take to make one skein of yarn?
Oh, you mean if somebody was spinning it?
Yes, spinning it.
Well, it depends on how many yards are in it.
Okay, well let's say 3 yards. Is it timed per yard? Is that how you work it?
Well, I mean, right now there's an event going on called Tour de Fleece, and it's during the tour over in France, the bike tour, and people try to spin as much as they can during that time. And there's some wonderful, talented spinners that can just spin, and we've got some here in town that can spin beautiful yarn and lots of it very quickly. And, it's just one of those things that the more you do it, the better you get.
What's your average speed?
Oh, my average speed? I'm not a spinner.
Okay, you're not. Okay.
I'd rather take the yarn and
All right, all
weave
right, all right.
with it, you know. But
Fair enough.
I have spun before, but
Okay.
mine is more what I call art yarn.
Okay.
It's kind of
All
bumpy.
right. All right.
But we do have some very talented spinners that teach spinning in the shop.
You have to have a spin out.
Yeah,
Spin off.
spin off.
A spin off.
Well, if there is an event called Sheep to Shawl where they take it from
Take it all the way.
from the fleece all the way to a woven garment.
So you really have. This has really been a long love affair with this this particular craft for you.
It has been.
I mean, do you have a lot of locals that participate? Would you say?
We do. We
Okay.
do have a lot of locals that participate in handcrafts, and I have people that come from all over the state and surrounding states to buy weaving supplies. We have an online store also that will mail out. So we do have a large following, and it's interesting. With it seems like when we've passed this 6-year mark, that's when people started saying, I only come here because you're here. I come to Eureka Springs for this store.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
We hear that kind of often.
That's neat. Well, I was like, I love this saying that you sent to me here. That I'm gonna put it up here for you. I have all the yarn I need, said no one ever.
That's we ascribe to that in the shop.
Wow, I just this is fascinating to me because I could see that this particular craft would be very therapeutic, very calming, and certainly as life gets more and more hectic for everyone, we all need something that can kind of ground us. And I would say that this would be one of those fantastic activities to do so.
There's some wonderful health benefits that are proven from research.
Yeah.
For handcrafts such as this, it doesn't have to be knitting. Woodworking and anything that you're making that has any kind of a repetitive motion can be, almost Zen-like and give you that meditative benefit that yoga or anything else, might do. I mean, there's a lot of proven health benefits from working with your hands.
Does it take a lot of concentration though? Because once you start a pattern, can you just sort of follow through with it, or are you going to have to sit there and count? I grew up watching the reason I asked is I grew up watching my mother, do Afghans and that sort of thing. And so I remember her starting, one particular long line, and she would count till she got to a certain spot, and then she'd change the way she. Is that sort of how it works?
Let me show you this.
Okay.
And it depends on the pattern.
Okay.
I've got this that I've started here. This is with one of the yarn crawl yarns. I'm trying to get something done so I can show people what it looks like when it's made. Right. But you see these little plastic things, these little markers.
Yeah.
Well, that marks the beginning and the end of a pattern repeat for me.
Okay.
And
that makes sense.
If I get to the end of that and I'm at the end of my pattern, I know I've done good. I haven't miscounted anywhere. But those are some little tips and tricks that you learn, as you go along.
So you don't get stressed out. I might get a little stressed out. It's just okay. All right. Well, maybe I'm too OCD when it comes to that kind of thing. I don't know.
We can get you going.
You get me past that. You can get me past it. All right. Wow. Well, I love all the beautiful colors, and in your store, do you have any finished products that people can purchase, or is it all supplies?
We do have a lot of finished products that people can purchase. We've got felted soap. We've got some locally made lotions and lotion bars and soaps from Lovely Ambition Farms. We've got a wonderful Sarepta brown cotton items, everything from towels to queen size bedspreads that are made from heirloom brown cotton that's grown just over the Arkansas border in Louisiana. And they are woven in traditional Acadian patterns. So that's kind of a new item that we have just this year. And those are selling very well. People that want to come in and get a hand woven item. We do have some scarves and aprons and things like that have been hand woven. But the time that you put in on this, you'll never get your money back out of it.
Right.
It is a labor of love, kind of, but you have to, factor in your time and stuff. And usually, you'd have to price it so high that it's just better to buy the materials and learn how to do it.
Well, I mean, you see different pieces of work from a historical nature, that it's very old and become quite costly and worth a lot. It's part of our history in some of the work that you see out there. Have you ever? What was, I guess, the most impressive piece that you've ever seen historically?
Well, I did go down to Louisiana. They had a special exhibit of Acadian weaving, and my background is Acadian from Canada, so I was particularly interested in that. And just very, very simple 2-shaft looms, and what they could do with it was extremely impressive to me. It was amazing. And the way they used color and design was wonderful too.
Right.
I'm going to the Coverlet College in September this year. It's up in Pennsylvania, and learning more about early American coverlets and their construction and the dye process and everything. So I'm looking forward to that. So I do like the historical aspect of it. And in the shop, I have an antique barn loom that's set up at the front of the shop. It's an 1850s loom, and it actually still weaves, and it's really fun to weave on. So we have that set up, and that'll be going during the yarn crawl as well.
So in your family, or do you have certain pieces that you've made over the years that are specifically designated that you're going to be passing down in your family?
There's some rugs, and some things like that.
Because I can look back and say, "Mom made that."
Oh,
Mom made that.
Yeah.
That's just, I have a couple of Afghans and quilts that my mom made and gave to us, and she had this. I don't know how it is, in some families, but the marriages, and the births, and you create particular things to mark different times in your life, and so. I mean, I have a very much an akin to, and a lot of families do, to certain heirloom pieces. It's very, it's very comforting, to have that.
Well, I'm also a quilter, and we do carry quilting supplies in the shop too.
Okay.
But during COVID, I have made a quilt for each one of my 6 grandchildren.
There you go.
So
you had the downtime officially to do it, right?
I did, and it was therapeutic. It was.
Very good. Got you through it. Got you through a rough time.
It did.
Well, tell us again the dates of your particular yarn crawl. Tell us one more time for that, for folks that are listening, if you don't mind.
July 30th to August 7th.
Okay.
And the hours, if you go to Arkansas Yarn Crawl on Facebook, you'll see the hours of each shop that are posted there.
Okay.
And each shop will have different things going on. We have a different class every day that will be occurring. So if you want to come to Eureka and spend a couple of days and take some classes and shop the yarn crawl, you can.
Good.
But it's a really fun time to go around and see all the different yarn shops in the state of Arkansas. And each one will have different events and different yarns and patterns that they'll be featuring. So. Well,
this is great. And congratulations on another year around the sun with Fleece and Flax and Red Scottie Fibers. You certainly have been a great contributor to our community and have a great store. And I'm glad that you have that presence in downtown Eureka. So congratulations on another successful year and making it through COVID. Really, that's seriously a thing, right? Really, it's an accomplishment. Thank you, Debbie, for coming on today and telling us all about the activity. And we celebrate you, Red Scottie Fibers, and you being a part of our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Melody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I love the festivities of a yarn crawl. That just sounds like fun, right? So they are on Facebook. You can go to, I think it's Red Scottie Fibers or Fleece and Flax, I think it is, on Facebook, and learn more about that. And we thank you, Debbie, for joining us. And thank you guys for watching us here on Eureka Springs channel, here to celebrate all the good people, the good places, and good news of Eureka Springs, Arkansas. And if you want to, you can subscribe and like us and follow us on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. And we also have that vlog, if you want to go to that, which is eurekasprings.channel.com. Write in the comments below any questions that you might have had for Miss Debbie. We didn't get to that particular button. I forgot to put it up. But if you have a question for Debbie, write it in the comments and be sure and tell us where you're watching us from. I'm sure Debbie will keep an eye on this thread for the next few days. If you have a question for her, I'm sure she will answer those for you. And again, celebrating another great event that our Eureka Springs business owners are a part of, and celebrating Debbie and her store, Red Scottie Fibers, Fleece and Flax in downtown Eureka Springs. Thank you for watching us live, and we will see you next time here on Eureka Springs channel. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.